Afrodescendant Nation. Third Quarter Economic Report 2023, Kamal Akram, Minister of Economics. BRICS Update. The 15th BRICS Summit took place in Johannesburg, South Africa, August 22nd through 24th. As widely expected, additional nations were added, creating what is for now referred to as BRICS Plus. As previously reported, the BRICS are Brazil with a current gross domestic product (GDP) of $1.9 trillion, Russia GDP of $2.2 trillion, India GDP of $3.3 trillion, China GDP of $17.9 trillion, South Africa GDP of $406 billion. BRICS total 2023 GDP of $25.706 trillion. The nations added to the BRICS or the Plus are as follows: Argentina GDP of $633 billion, Egypt GDP of $477 billion, Ethiopia GDP of $127 billion, Iran GDP of $389 billion, Saudi Arabia GDP of $1.1 trillion, United Arab Emirates UAE GDP of $508 billion. BRICS Plus total 2023 GDP of $3.234 trillion. The combined 11-nation GDP of BRICS Plus comes to $28.94 trillion. Although the additional nations increase the total GDP by 12.6%. Perhaps the more important statistic to note is the dramatic increase in total crude oil production. The 5 BRICS nations currently produce approximately 19% of global oil output. With the additional nations, total crude oil production jumps to 41% of global oil production, an increase of 115%. BRICS Plus now includes 46% of the world's total population according to visualcapitalist.com. The additional 6-member increase officially takes effect January 1, 2024. The President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, stated during the summit that the addition of new nations to join BRICS was the first phase of expansion. It remains to be seen, at this point, what the added nations' impact will be on the global economy. At least one apparent strategy seems to be the BRICS Plus dominance on global crude oil production. Contrary to popular expectations, there was little mention regarding a BRICS currency to facilitate trade amongst BRICS Plus. Currently, BRICS trade with their respective currencies. Looking into 2024, at least 41% of global crude oil trade will take place minus the US dollar, USD. It is conceivable that OPEC Plus, Organization of Petroleum Export Countries plus Russia, who produce 59% of global oil, will look to trade as much as possible without USD going forward. New BRICS Plus OPEC members are Saudi Arabia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates, UAE. Third quarter oil. Speaking of crude oil, the price of WTI crude oil jumped from approximately $71 per barrel to $91 at the end of the third quarter, a 29% increase. On September 6, Saudi Arabia announced a 1 million barrel per day production cut along with Russia, the Plus and OPEC Plus, to cut 300,000 barrels a day continuing at least to the end of 2023. Many energy analysts are expecting the price of Brent and WTI crude oil to surpass the $100 per barrel mark, while others predict demand destruction to set in, keeping the price of gasoline from rising higher. The average price of gasoline in the U.S. increased similarly about 25% in the third quarter of 2023. As the price of gasoline rises in a short period of time, drivers tend to cut back on travel and look to alternative transportation options, creating demand destruction. Demand destruction began to set in as drivers cut back in mid-September. Contributing to demand destruction of gasoline consumption has been the seasonal end of summer driving, along with persistent inflation still plaguing consumers. Afrodescendants, who typically comprise lower ends of the income spectrum with check-to-check, fixed incomes and hourly wage lifestyles, have felt the sting of continued inflationary pressures, particularly with gasoline, food and rent prices. Economic food for thought. 1. Will or should Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies be included in the BRICS Plus new development bank currency as an asset class to provide a store of value or stability? 2. Will African nations and or Afrodescendants take advantage of the next crypto bull run predicted for 2024 and 2025? 3. How will migrants pouring into the U.S. by the tens of thousands impact U.S. Afrodescendants economically? Many appear to be Afrodescendants that speak Spanish instead of English. 4. The U.S. is experiencing headwinds in selling U.S. debt to fund an ever-increasing deficit. How long will it take before the decreasing amount sold to foreign or institutional investors causes hyperinflation? 5. Can Afrodescendants ride the unity and reparations wave, realize self-determination and a land that can be called their own by 2032? Respectfully submitted. Kamal Akram, Minister of Economics. Afrodescendant Nation. Sources: barchart.com, CNBC, Energy Information Administration, EIA, Trading Economics, Visual Capitalist, YouTube.